As you guys can see, the presidential inauguration, the signing and stuff is happening right now, but I wanted to share this with you. Um, and I was talking to someone about this, and we were talking about what is the one thing that I hope this new Trump administration focuses on, aside from all the other stuff, energy, what was the other stuff there? Deportation, importation, all the costs that's going on. For me, I really hope they focus on the debt. Here's why. It's because right now the whole like I'm in real estate. I'm a private equity real estate guy. We have our real estate company. We're investors. You are investors if you're watching this. You're a business owner if you're watching this. Our whole business, our business, your business, my business is all tied to the debt market. Period. Right? So in real estate, all of the type of properties we look at. Now we're talking about commercial real estate. We're not talking about residential as much. Residential real estate is not taking the beating that everyone thought that it was going to take in 2008. I told people this. This comes from irresponsibility. This is a debt problem because let's say you're a real estate person or a real estate guy or a real syndicator or fund manager, and you promised your investors, which a lot of people did. A lot of those guys went out of business. Um, 12% preferred return because you were going to buy a property, you're going to buy a 200 unit or a 100 unit or a 300 unit or a 50 unit, and you were going to fix it up. Your value add plan that you promised them that you were going to do, and then turn around and refinance probably did not come into fruition. It didn't work. Costs went up, cost of lumber went up, cost of electricity went up, cost of insurance went up, taxes went up, everything went up, right? As you're doing this, the whole world goes to shit. Why? Because the feds raised rates. The feds raised their rates, which all of this commercial real estate that we're talking about is tied to the 10-year treasury. If I'm not mistaken, the 10-year treasury today, last I looked, the 10-year treasury was at 4.6. Today's the presidential inauguration. So this is January 20th. But I'm going to look just to firm it up. I think the 10-year treasury, phone's taking forever. Hold on, guys. The 10-year treasury running today is bonds 10-year. Where we at? Um, my Wi-Fi's janky right now. 10-year treasury. 4.6, 4.6. Yeah, see that? I'll bring it up close. 4.6. That's the 10-year treasury today. Why does that matter? Because all commercial real estate, as it relates to the deals we look at, most of these stuff, long-term debt is tied to the 10-year treasury. Typically, what lenders will do, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, life insurance companies, debt funds, Wall Street, they will take the 10-year treasury if you're using 10-year debt, or they'll use the SOFR and they'll tie like let spread to that. So if it's at 4.6 today, some of them will do a 1.5% spread over the top, or let's just say two. So if the 10-year treasury is at 4.6 today, the typical debt that you will get on a commercial real estate deal is going to be somewhere around 4.4, let's just say 4.6. I mean, I'm sorry, 6.6 or 6.5%. Like, and some of them are like, oh, we can get you at 5.75. But some of that you ain't going to be able to get. You're still going to have to do a rate factor in my mind of about a point and a half. So no matter where, you're still going to be anywhere from 6 to 7% on your interest rate. Why is that important? Because if you got, let's say you got this deal, like I'm talking about other syndicators and fund managers, and why I'm hoping the debt gets handled or the finance world gets handled. Let's say your rate was 3%. You said you were going to be in it for 5 years and you did this in 2020. Here it is, 2025. You have to refinance, but your debt is now, if you were to refinance your money out, your rate's 6.5, 7%. So let's say six. That 3% jump in what your interest rate is roughly somewhere around 80 to 85% more in your debt service. What you have to pay on the financing. That is what's happening. That's causing sellers not to be able to sell. That's causing buyers to be able to, like myself, we're like, dude, whoa, wait, right? Because they don't pencil. We can't get the returns for our investors that we want. Now, if the president or his administration is going to come in and do anything, they're going to first focus on global scenarios. Next, they're going to focus on debt, interest, all these other things, and making the ability for people to invest in assets, use that debt to be able to leverage assets, income producing assets that actually stimulate the economy. That should be the next thing. And to show you guys how big of a problem this is, there's $2.7 trillion worth of commercial debt maturing between now and 2027. I want to say 2025. around $900 billion is maturing this year. Now, that's a concentration between office, retail, industrial, multifamily, all of it across the board. But here's what this does. If you're a developer, you're a builder, and you need to build, we're looking to buy existing stuff. We only buy existing properties because we want cash flow from day one. But if you're a developer, you ain't going to go get the debt for that. You cannot get the financing. It doesn't pencil, which means that any new construction that is being completed between now and 2027 or 2026, that's it. There's not going to be any more new construction coming on. And if that gets absorbed, which it will, or it gets waited on because they aren't going to continue to press forward with this, like there's going to be a supply and demand issue, which is going to make rents skyrocket. If you watch any of my other videos, I talk about rents in this country in multifamily real estate, A-class properties, A locations, great properties. That rent is going to skyrocket because there's going to be a supply and demand issue. There's not going to be enough units coming on to deal with the demand of rentals, right? Because, like I said earlier, people in single family houses are not going to sell. You have a 30-year fixed rate, 3% interest or 4% interest, and now the rates are 6 and 7. There's no need for you to sell, and that's locked in for 30 years. There's not going to be this high concentration of people running to sell their homes. But there is a glut of inventory of multifamily real estate for people who are sellers who got a deal in 2018, 2019, who their rates are on adjustable rates because however they got, whoever their investors are, they're probably not retail investors like ours. They're institutions. They're CalPERS, they're the state pension funds, fired pension funds, they're endowments like Harvard Endowment. Like every 5 years, they need to recycle a wealth machine. They need to refinance that money. And if they can't do it, they're going to hold off for about a year and then they're going to have to do something. So they're going to sell at a loss. So if that is what's happening, the debt needs to get handled. The interest rate climate in this country needs to get handled. So here's what that'll do. Insurance costs will come down. Taxes will start to get paid by people who are stuck not being able to do those things. So like, because all that's going to happen is they're going to lose. They're going to kick the keys back to the bank, or they're going to refinance at a lower cost, and they're going to write down their portfolios, which is what we're hoping we can get some of those assets. And as they write down their portfolios, they're showing a loss. It's money they don't have to pay. So at some point, all of this needs to be handled. But what I want you guys to remember, $2.7 trillion worth of commercial real estate debt that's maturing over the next 3 years shows a massive opportunity in the multifamily space, which I plan on taking advantage of. Every time I get pumped up, man, my pocket folder goes down. So, like when we're looking at an apartment building, number one thing I'm looking for from a seller or from a deal coming on the market, urgency. Now, I'm in San Diego County. We look in Orange County, Irvine, that area, that stretch corridor of Southern SoCal. There's not a lot of assets coming to market, but what there is urgency based on the debt on these assets that either they're going to refinance, bring in new investors that want to be involved in that, or they're going to have to sell this property, and they're not selling at a loss per se, but they are selling at somewhat of a compromised price, 20 to 30%. And 100% they're all selling below replacement cost, which is one of our things. Hey, if we can get below replacement cost on a cash flowing asset at an A location, that's a great thing. And there needs to be some type of urgency on the seller that forces him to compromise his price. That's what I'm looking for. So with this new administration with Trump, that's what I'm assuming they're going to have to focus on. Number one, Trump's a debt guy. I mean, Trump's a real estate guy. All real estate, good real estate, has debt on it. It has debt on it, and it has long-term debt on it. Long-term in commercial real estate is 5, 7, 10 years, and then they reset that clock every 5, 7, 10 years. Sometimes 3, but nobody wants 3-year debt. Usually they'll go 3 years with a 1+1, which is 5 years, and they have an adjustable rate on that the whole time, right? So why does this matter to you guys? As you guys can see, they're talking about what's happening right now. He's signing stuff in, but I know that this is going to come up. One, insurance is going crazy. Insurance costs are ridiculous right now. California had its fires in LA. North Carolina had its floods. Florida had its storms. Texas has its freezing. Insurance costs across the board is going up on everybody in this country. And that is also associated with the debt market. Finance, debt, interest rates, all of this stuff with all these premiums that need to be paid out by these big insurance companies. At some point, financing and debt and all that stuff, it comes into play. It has to. So this is something that's good for you guys. This is good for investors. Inflation, all this other stuff. But a lot of these assets that we look at for investments are always tied to debt. It's tied to the interest rates. It affects people who can build. It affects people who can buy. It affects people who can refinance. That in turn, my friends, affects investors and what they can do or what they can do, man. If you take a look at it, that's what's happening right now. So if you're an investor like me, this is what I'm looking for. I'm like, hey man, what's going to go on with the interest rates? Because if the interest rates come down too dramatically, prices are going to skyrocket on commercial real estate. Nobody's going to buy. Everyone's going to wait. If prices come down too slow, it strangles the owner currently now and their debt and their timeline and their investors, and they're going to exit the deal, which is where the opportunity is. That's what we want. Slow, methodical lowering of the debt, lowering of the interest rates, giving access to this glut of properties that's sitting on companies' balance sheet, multifamily properties that could come to market that they won't because they have to run a process, meaning they got to come to market, they got to show this, they got to go back to their board, they got to go back to their investors and say, here's where we are. Like that's what we're the game that I'm playing right now. And in 2025, I believe the biggest opportunity is presenting itself. Why? Because interest rates are going to lower. We have a new administration that's taken over. Taxes are going to be lowering. I believe in the real estate side of the industry more than any other one. I believe real estate, the taxes on the real estate side are going to be the best. Why? Because Trump's a real estate guy, right? And he understands this game. The red tape's going to go away. The taxes are going to come down and the deals are going to loosen up. So the initial part of this, of the United States, stimulation of the economy is probably going to come through real estate. It's going to come through the housing market. And if you're not willing to take advantage of the housing market on the housing side, on the real estate side, on the rental side of institutional quality assets, big properties, then you will get left behind. I believe that's going to be the start of where, aside from the other stuff, that is going to be the untying of all knots. It'll start there and work its way out. That's going to be come through interest rates. So I know that was a lot. I get pumped up about that. I didn't have my whiteboard here. I wasn't going to write all over the place and kind of show you guys because I'm still involved in the presidential inauguration, still happening live behind me. But I wanted to do this about what I feel like is going to be the number one thing that's going to be affected and how we plan on taking advantage of it and how you can do it with me. So if you want to do it with us, if you have questions, go to bell-capital.com. There's two things you can do there. Number one, hit a button that says invest now. Register so you can take a look at our open fund and the deals we're working on. Two thing you can do over there is hit a button that says schedule a call. You will talk to me or somebody on my team, answer any questions you got about investing with us, how it works, what are our fees, walk you through the paperwork, answer any personal questions you have. Can you invest in your IRA? Do you need to be accredited or not accredited? Yes, you do need to be accredited. What's the minimums? How long is it? What's the terms? What happened if Vic dies? Is this managed by a professional management company? All that stuff is there. We're here for you for that. But those are the two things you can do. Again, that's bell-capital.com, bell-capital.com, and go there and get any information you want about what we do and what I'm doing here. And number two thing you can do, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want to get more subscribers. I want to get more viewers. I actually want to do more of what you want me to do here on this channel. That's why I'm doing this. So like the channel, subscribe to the channel, share the video, comment on the video. What do you think? Do you think them focusing on lowering the interest rate so more capital can flow into the side of real estate investing as it relates to the debt side, the leverage, to be able to invest and buy these great assets so you as an investor can get access to more deals? Do you think that is the number one thing, the number one benefit to this new administration coming on board will have and will play out over this next 4 years? Let me know, man. I would love to hear it because I got my own opinions about it, as you guys can tell. So, anyways, like the video, share the video, comment on the video, give it a thumbs up or give it a thumbs down. Don't be a hater and a hider at the same time. Either way, I appreciate the flow of power, but I'm here for you. Let me know if you need anything, guys. Let's go. Boom. Are you an accredited investor with $300,000 or more liquid in the bank? I want you to come and partner with me. Look, if you love real estate, passive income, and positive cash flow, appreciation over long periods of time, and you're willing to be patient, come invest with me. Go to bell-capital.com. This is for accredited investors with $300,000 or more in the bank, ready to go. Come invest with me. Go to bell-capital.com.